Go ahead.
We should talk about the new mythic method.
New mythic method, dude. That's a bar.
That's what you were on this week, and I was on too.
Yeah, we're on the
what
new mythic method.
What was in the Humpty manifesto?
Well, see, this is the thing.
Modernist mythic.
Yeah,
what you coined it though?
That I said.
Yeah.
I forget. It was a new. But it's in the modernist mythic method.
Okay, this is really what we need to talk about. We got the fucking 90-minute setup snap.
Yeah,
so I'm a little frazzled, but I'm gonna get right. You know what I'm saying? What we need to talk about is exactly that. We are on the new mythic method.
Yeah.
And the connecting factor to all our recent new mythic method researches is just how every story is the fall.
Yeah. Yes.
And I feel like also, obviously, you've been Harold's been spurging out about this damn Humpty manifesto for it was like 6 bullet points like a week ago.
I sent it to you.
And then he sent me another one. I'm fully schizophrenic in the year, I'm just like my one contact to the world. I'm like, oh, new manifesto just dropped, okay? And but then now it's like a fucking 13-minute rant. But I was thinking, when you were writing that, you weren't citing any of the things you were spitting about?
No.
Yeah, that's psychotic, dude.
Well, not only psychotic, but I was changing the quotes too. So I was quoting the Shelley poem, the famous Shelley poem, and there were lines I didn't want to use, so I just didn't quote it. No ellipses or anything.
I feel like this somehow has to be folded into because that's something I started doing too.
Yeah.
Because you folded in found text into your book.
Yeah.
And I explain everything and what I'm doing, but I'm kind of doing that too.
Well, see, this is something that, I don't know whether what I'm doing, if it's a chaotic thing that's bad or a chaotic thing that's good. So just
take anything.
I'm taking quotes and I'm literally changing them if I want. If it's a poem,
so what did you change?
I'll prose it up. What
did you change?
Yeah, just little things. I'm cutting lines in the poem and rearranging them, and I'm making it more readable. Maybe if it's a poem, I'll block it up into prose. I just change it however I want, And then, one thing I did, I had that list that I put out on my birthday, my 28 favorite novels, and I put a fake novel in there that no one, it seemed no one got. But just and I put
What was it?
It was called The Pank Limbus by P.P. von Soldierberry. And I had this whole
motherfucker think you belong here, dude.
I had this whole crazy backstory to it, and it's just that trickery is fun for me right now. I can't realize.
Did you ever read Nazi literatures?
No, but I know.
Okay, this is crazy though.
Well,
I literally, my dumbass I'm about to throw her, this early nerd motherfucker thinks he's a nerd. Yeah. The fact that I thought I could have got obscure Bologna.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just him doing that for fucking 90 pages.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a whole Latin American tradition of that.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. We're talking about
because
that.
it comes out of Stern too. I think it comes out of Stern because Stern had a whole fake book thing. But see, this is something Gabby asked me and that I wasn't sure. She was she was asking me about the Theophagy in my manifesto where I said, which I thought was the best point of the whole thing was, if you're consuming the false messiah, then it's worse than nothing, right? You're just enacting this pernicious cycle. It's a bad thing for you, for the culture.
Okay.
And Gabby was like, yeah, I get that, but what does that mean now?
Yeah.
What king are you eating now? What's the practical application of that?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was what do you see as the practical application in whatever way of the Eve myth and the renewal of spring
and the Theophagy?
Yeah, and both of them.
But also I wanted to know, where did you get that idea of eating the false king and stuff like that?
That just seems something that was right.
You just thought that?
Yeah, just through working on that manifesto, I was like, hey, give me a beer too.
Same.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the updated manifesto.
Not since when.
The
regicide line though.
We out on Harold's birthday before you pulled up, and we with fucking Harold and Gabby and your bros who you do comedy with, and then your bro's girl, and Harold's over here just well, have you hit the manifesto yet? And the girl was like, no, I haven't read it yet. you didn't read my stack, bro? It was just so funny.
Wait, so I mean, I should just basically explain what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just the Humpty Dumpty manifesto.
Yeah. You break it down, yeah.
I want to name my book Humpty Dumpty in honor of it's the new Mythic method.
Yeah.
I'm inaugurating the new Mythic method by doing this. Because
That's what it was.
Humpty is one of our essential myths, and it's not a myth that's been claimed like the old modernists claim like Ulysses or something like that. This is a myth that hasn't been claimed because it's been overlooked as silly.
Yeah.
Which is that this is the time for reclaiming silliness into something serious.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
And Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, right?
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
Yeah.
You're the wall, right? You're the big, powerful man. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You're Adam and Eden, right? He was on the wall. He was born on the wall. Then he fell off the wall. All the king's horses.
But it's all the king's horses.
Exactly.
And all the king's men.
No amount of fucking power on this earth can put you back together.
Yeah, so it frames it as monarchic because it's all the king's horses and all the king's
It is.
Right?
And the whole thing is, I mean, the main point of it is that it's a riddle. And the reason why we think of Humpty Dumpty as an egg is because that was a riddle whose answer was egg. And it's a joke about killing the king. The king is as fragile as an egg.
Yeah.
And so he falls off the wall and he's splat. Ha ha ha. The most powerful man in the world is actually the most fucking little wimpy thing. He's just a little shell.
And what is the origins of it? You said it.
The origins of it is that they're not completely sure, but what I'm saying is the origin is Richard III, who was the last English king to die in battle.
What year?
That was like 1483 or something like that.
Okay.
So and Shakespeare had a play Richard III where he was a great villain.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that I found out just writing the manifesto.
Right.
Was that people like some contemporaries of Richard III thought he was like one fucking handsome and two gracious and nice and good. But the reputation after he died was that he was a fucking ugly, hunchback, fucking son of a bitch. And then Shakespeare made him into a big villain.
Yeah.
So that's part of the memory too. Once you fall off the wall, you're the last king to get slain in battle. Like you're in battle, you're out on the fucking field, you're the king. You don't get to control
history
Right,
anymore.
I see, yeah.
Right? And then you get slain. Right? Doing something courageous, and then they just treat you like you're a fucking...
And there's been connections between the fall, or that's is that your imposition, like Humpty?
Well, of Eden.
Yeah.
I mean, that's James Joyce. That's all Finnegan's Wake.
That's right.
Right.
He's doing the Humpty. He's doing
the Humpty
he likes
stuff.
Humpty. Okay. So you continue. Okay, interesting. And then the Theophagy stuff is kind of, that's just an old idea of killing the king that you're applying.
Okay. And I mean, that's kind of like hinted at in Finnegan's Wake too. I think he connects Finnegan and Humpty to Theophagy and Christ.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But yeah, it's just that's a fucking old idea.
Well, it's an old idea, yeah. Okay, interesting.
Basically, I wrote this whole fucking thing because I was like, when I came up with the Humpty Dumpty, I sent it to fucking Chris Clemens, and he was like, nah, that's a... First, he was like, no way.
I was too, though.
Yeah, I know.
I was on my work site. I was all like, that ain't it, bro.
Yeah,
I was like, Harold's all fucking
silly
ball
egg.
out. I'm over here fucking like, it's like freezing cold. I'm fucking like, bro, I'm not gonna do bro like that. No, it just sonically, but no. Now that I'm understanding it, but okay. And then just before I spiral out about Theophagy stuff, the idea is that the book, in some level, literally not saying anything crazy. It's just about people, some young men who were looked at as kings, and then they had a great fall.
Yeah, that's it.
And of course, this is the most common story of our times.
Yeah.
It's if you, especially in the past 10 years.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's like it's not that some people. Well, in some cases, there's lines to be made.
Yeah.
There's some people who are just on some fucking criminal shit,
dastardly
right?
shit.
Yeah.
But like, it's also like,
but
like
it's also
clockwork.
like
When you become the king,
Yeah.
like Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You know,
yes.
like-
Yes.
like-
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Everyone
certain
wants a gun for you at that point.
But it's because you're the king.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's
also-
This
young
has
dude.
nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? But like, no. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Louis. But
and also the whole thing is like, you know, it's the social conditions that lead to the wall. There's the big absence. You know, Humpty Dumpty it's a perfect life because there's an infinite absence before he's sitting on the wall, right? There's eternal time, and then he's suddenly sitting on the wall. That's when the rhyme starts, right? It's 4 bars. It's four bars.
4 gospels, 4 seasons.
What the fuck happened before he was sitting on the wall?
You're snapping. I mean, you're completely snapping with this,
right?
But...
It's eternal, and then he's suddenly on the wall. What are the conditions that led to him being on the wall? What's sustaining him on the wall? What's causing the fall?
What did
cause the fall?
We don't know. There's just so much.
He just wobbled.
Right? He just wobbled, but what wobbled him?
Okay.
I don't know, dude. It's about
What do you think of Humpty Dumpty?
I mean, I honestly hadn't even thought about it until you sent me that.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't thought about this since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah. But that's another thing too. Why does everyone know this?
But everyone knows it. When I was talking to someone about
it. It's like a nursery rhyme.
Exactly.
Is it a nursery rhyme or a fable or
it's
like
a nursery rhyme. It's an old nursery rhyme that
it
got codified.
And also it gets memed a lot.
Yeah, it gets memed a lot.
Yeah, it gets
memed
a lot.
It's just an essential part of our English-speaking culture.
It's true.
And it's just like, it's just a silly little thing that everybody knows that has survived longer than
hundreds of years.
So, do you got the idea from looking at Finnegan's Wake?
That's when it started. Then, honestly, I was just thinking like...
You said, what's a new Ulysses?
It wasn't,
You said, what's a new Ulysses?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Also, I mean, it's a culmination of everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, I know. It just makes so much sense, and I couldn't believe it.
But it's actually, it is, what does kind of make it sick is the fact that your initial reaction is like that.
Yeah, then you're like, that's
I'm telling you, dude, the king with the crying eyes, with the eyes.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's got to be. There's going to be no egg on the cover. But the essential image is that you think, I like that you think, I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and then you think, oh my God, what if it's not so? What is this crazy book?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Like, wow.
With the fucking...
Yeah, dude, the seed of truth in the middle of the...
in
the middle of the nursery rhyme that everyone fucking knows.
It's fascinating to think this is something everybody knows who speaks English. Everybody knows it.
So is that what you're telling Gabby about? The
well,
common explanation. It's just like you become a king. You fall.
Yeah, and she read the manifesto, and she was just asking like, what does that Theophagy literally mean now? Like when you're eating the king now, what does that mean? What does it mean to eat the wrong king now? And I was kind of like, well, you know, my manifesto said you got to figure it out yourself.
But see, the thing is, it's interesting. Did you ever try to read the Golden Bough at all?
No, I haven't. Okay. But I mean, I have to now. Like,
well, you have to now, but it's interesting because, like, I mean, that shit I wrote was like, I mean, it was a fun rip, and I got to some nice places, but like, it was definitely like the big. I don't know. It's the beginning of like a lot of digging because as I was like reworking, I was like realizing new things and stuff, you know. But for example, like with the reason why, and then I was running it back, and it was like whatever. The essay is whatever, but the point is like, I've been listening to that for months, right? Like anytime I'm at work, I just listen to another chapter.
That's the Golden Bough.
Yeah, on audiobook, and it's like he's just giving all these examples of why of stories that relate to the seminal story that caused him to do it. But the reason why he started his whole research was because, first of all, I swear to God, every time I read any of these things, they're all like, you know, as in Setse, like between Naples and Rome, like every mythic story comes from like geographically.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's this lake called Nemi just south of Rome, and it's called and Diana, who's Vico's first goddess, the third god that humans invented after Jupiter and Eagle, and it's the first goddess in Ovid. Diana is the queen of the underworld, the queen of the spring, Jupiter's daughter. So Diana at Nemi, there's this lake there, and that lake is depicted in like the Golden Bough, the Turner thing. But there's just this weird ritual that when James Fraser learned about it, he's like, this isn't part of like Roman mythology. This didn't come out of Roman mythology. This is some old archaic thing that was
beyond, like further back than Rome.
Yeah, exactly. And they jammed it in there because it's like essential. So you have Diana, the goddess of this of Diana's the first goddess. Hunting, countryside, the spring, fertility. She's like the main mother goddess in pagan times. She
Diana Athena.
No, I don't think so. But it could be because like
But
I learned that.
But I thought Athena was a huntress and like.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, I'm not
too.
sure. I'm not
Wisdom.
sure.
I thought she was wisdom and hunting.
Yeah,
It
it
might
could
be,
be. It could be. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of them are like then I learned from Vico that Persephone is just a version of Diana.
Oh shit.
So it's a sacred grove.
Yeah.
At there, and they do this ritual every, and she's there. There's the tree. Okay, so like it's basically you have a goddess, the main goddess. You have one like nymph who's the goddess of the eternal spring, and then she has the eternal fire, eternal spring, and then like there's always the male counterpart, who's like lower than her, who's like a mortal, which is like a motif through a lot of them. And his job, he's the tree king of the wood, of the sacred grove. His job is to just stand up at night and guard this tree, make sure no one plucks any branches from it.
Just keep it
And
safe.
no one can come up to him, and no one can become the tree king except for escaped slaves.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So an escaped slave can pull up on them in the night and just murk him.
And now he's.
And then
king.
grab a branch of the tree. Now he's a tree king. So this idea of eternal theophagy of the male king is like, I don't know. It's like so then J.G. Fraser's like, this is weird. This is savage and gnarly. And
Yeah.
I guess before that was that came from a different, like Crimea or something.
Yeah.
Like what's now Crimea, like a different part. And it used to just be annual sacrifices to Diana, the fertility goddess, so that people will keep having birth and they'll keep getting water. But then it got turned into this ritual at the grove with the eternal fire and the goddess of the eternal spring. So then he's basically, the whole book is just a series of different archaic rituals that has eternal fire, a tree king of the wood who tends the eternal fire, and so like I almost feel like in that sense that element of theophagy of like the continual killing of this one position has something to do with like agriculture, and it's like because first of all the first position of royalty before we're talking about kings, that was another is just the person in the woods who had the fire, the grove. But that's another thing about. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. But with Milton, he wanted to kill the king.
Yeah, he did.
That's
he
part of why.
Did.
That's part of why.
And he did kill the king.
Wait, he did?
Yeah, they killed the king.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was the English Revolution.
That's right,
They killed
that's
the
right,
king.
that's right.
Man, that might have been the. And you know what's funny?
Like so, I'm writing this. I'm like,
what king did they kill?
well, I can connect the
James
theophagy.
first, maybe.
I can connect.
No. James.
What year? Like what year was that? What's
No, that was
established the
that was
Windsor,
16.
the House of
No, that
Windsor?
was 16. I don't know. It was 16.
Yeah.
40s or 50s.
Like what was it
1650s.
before? When did the? I don't even know.
Well, no, because
Mine-
James the
mine-
First
mine-
was a king. It was Elizabeth and then James, who was the kings during Shakespeare, and so
Okay.
it was a king right after that.
Okay.
James the Second, maybe, someone like that. But you know what's funny is like when I was doing the Humpty piece, and I was looking for pictures that I could put on there, and there is like no pictures of regicide.
Oh,
There's
regicide.
no paintings of regicide. There's no classical paintings
What
of
about
a
the
king.
king on a head?
Yeah,
I mean, king on a plate.
But
on
that's
a
never
plate.
the king. It's
What about
just-
no
Head on
Saint
a
John
plate.
the Baptist on a plate?
Well, he is a king.
Yeah,
but
he's-
he ain't the king.
True.
He is still like from the bottom of society.
Solomon.
Dude, that
Right?
art was like verboten.
True.
You couldn't.
Yeah,
even
I know that. But
depict that. It was
but
like
that is another essential part of the Humpty Dumpty thing. Is that this is regicide is so unacceptable that they're doing all these paintings of all these crazy shit. They're doing fucking Lot, fucking his daughters, all this crazy shit. But one thing that's completely forbidden is depicting the king being killed. And that's what Humpty Dumpty does. It depicts the king being killed in an oblique way.
in like a
Right.
He's
When
an
it was
egg. It's fun.
When it was completely forbidden. It was completely forbidden.
But in J.G. Fraser's seminal theophagy idea, why is it the escaped slaves that are the only people who are out to resume that position.
Why do you think?
Well, this one bar is like just, I honestly, I don't care if anyone can understand my essay. I spur you so hard on that.
Yeah.
I think Harold got some of them, but this idea of like the idea of the mortal man in Greek mythology, in pagan mythology, pre-Christian mythology, the idea of the mortal man loving a divine goddess and then suffering like a tragic premature death, and then the goddess like being a god, Greek goddess, like returning him from the underworld happens multiple times. And always has two lovers who like compete over him. They're both God, but it's just Dante. Yeah. I'm not saying anything like that. Yeah. But Dante's idea is that I'm just a regular guy, and I'm loving this divine woman, Beatrice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like the origins of that idea. But it basically happens with Adonis and Hippolytus. Those are the two versions of that story. But those are also examples of people getting sent into the underworld, but then like a goddess coming back. But that's the idea. The mortal man who's like loving the goddess is represented by the Tree King of the Wood. The Hippolytus getting killed over and over again, and getting sent down to the underworld, and then the goddess bringing him back up.
Yeah,
that's the Greek representation. The Hippolytus story is a Greek representation of this weird old ritual that used to happen.
That
involved sacrificing like a young boy for
at the lake
for the fertility goddess, which just means you want the spring to come. You want fertility. Fertility.
I mean, which all clearly culminates in Christ.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So that's the connection,
yeah.
Right? I'm looking at anything that has to do with dying, being sent at the ground, coming back. Right? Is it good?
Yeah.
And like that's an interesting version of that. But Adonis and Hippolytus,